So you're gonna have to. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive. It's gonna suck. Yeah. The best part is gonna be the fun. Do fun business. Yeah.
Mr. President.
The regular meeting of the Lake Charles Harbor and Terminal District is now called to order at 5 p.m. The date is November 25th, 2024. We will have the invocation by Ms. Julie Miller, and we will have the pledge of allegiance by Ms. Cheyenne. Please stand.
Dear Lord, thank you for this day, and thank you for allowing us to come and gather together and do what would be best for us in our community. We appreciate this beautiful weather you've given us, and even though it's quite warm in November, but I'm sure it will be cool soon enough. Thank you for all the many blessings you've bestowed upon us, and forgive us of our sins, and thank you for all you've given us. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We want to thank everyone for coming out this evening, and we will proceed with our meeting. Public comment procedure. The board encourages public comments and questions regarding all agenda items. Persons wishing to do so should complete a speaker's card, which is at the front entrance of the boardroom. When speaking or asking a question on an agenda item, one should, in addition to completing the card, come to the microphone, be recognized, and provide your name, address, and phone number. Comments by individuals will be limited to 3 minutes. At this time, we'll move on to our minutes. Approval of the October 25th, 2024 special meeting.
Move to approve.
I have a motion. I have a motion by Mr. Johnson and a second by Mr. Cheyenne. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that item will pass. At this time, we will move on to our submissions. Submission 2024-049, authorizing the executive director to enter into a lease agreement with Ready Mat for property located on Fournette Street. Mr. Self.
Yes, sir. Approval sought to enter into a long-term lease with Ready Mat for property located on Fournette Street. This is a site of about 4 acres at the end of Ryan Street on the Calcasieu River. We've been in a month-to-month lease with Ready Mat for years, dating back to about 2012. They would like to enter into a long-term lease. We have some folks here from Ready Mat that can talk about what they do there and the significance of their project.
Okay. Would you guys want to come to the mic? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Chuck Stenbeck. I'm the founder of Ready Mat. Ready Mat is a defense contractor that manufactures an airfield damage recovery system for our military. We sell these systems. It's a kit, and it's a business I founded myself, just myself and one other guy. We leased that building over there years ago and originally had a 5-year lease, but once that was let out, the port didn't want to enter into a long-term lease, but our business has gotten pretty steady. I've got long-term contracts with the U.S. Air Force, and we need to know that we've got a place to hang our hat. We've got contracts pending with Saudi Arabia, Taiwan, you name the ally, we're working with them. These are kits that allow our military to recover their airfield after attack. You imagine a runway's been bombed, you got a bomb in the runway. This is a kit. The military stocks it in a war reserve material, and they pre-position them at our FOBs, our forward operating bases around the world. It's a vital part of our defense system, and we need to know we got a place to work. We've been there probably, geez, I want to say 12, 13 years now, maybe 14 years. So we're in agreement to make any improvements we need to the building. We've agreed to spend a minimum of about $250,000 on the facility. Most notably, the largest improvement that needs to be made is the roof leaks. We do composite work, and we can't have a leaking roof. So one of the things we'd like to do right away is apply roof coating and re-roof, not roof it, but seal the roof of the building. And I'm estimating that building's right at 40,000 square feet. That's probably almost $100,000 right there just to do that. And we'll come out of pocket for that. And there's some other things we'd like to do, some mostly cosmetic work. So that's it. We need a place to work. We employ about 30 people full-time down there and have been doing that for a number of years now. One of the things that we do that you guys may not know is a lot of our labor comes out of the Calhoun Correctional Center. We give guys a second chance. We bring them in there. We teach them a trade. Some of the guys don't even have basic math skills. We'll do that for them. We'll help them get into apartments, try to get these guys a life, and we've had great success with that. I'd say about 80% of those guys we've gotten out of that correctional system have stayed with us long-term now. So we're asking for your support to give us a place to keep these guys working.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Any
Any
questions?
questions by the commissioners?
Mr. President, I'll move for adoption of submission 2024-049.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that item will pass. Moving on to submission 2024-050, authorizing the executive director to enter into an amendment to the proposed agreement with Lake Charles Methanol II. Mr. Self.
Yes, sir, this relates to a request from Lake Charles Methanol to extend their existing option for the site adjacent to PT1. We have Linda Miller here with Lake Charles Methanol to explain to you about Lake Charles Methanol, or any questions you might have.
Ms. Miller, you state your name and.
My name is Linda Miller,
Just
and
for the
I'm
record, please.
the Chief Operating Officer of Lake Charles Methanol II. And Michelle, you have a presentation. On behalf of Lake Charles Methanol II, I think in late October, I sent a formal letter asking for an amendment to extend the option agreement for another year. So I'm here, as I'm here periodically to give you an update on the project. Okay, next page. Great. This is just a snapshot of the project. As you know, we're going to make methanol and sell it under long-term contracts to two very prominent chemical companies in the world. We are buying natural gas from BP, have transportation from Sempra. We're selling our CO2 to Exxon for sequestration. We'll have low carbon methanol. We'll be unique in the world in that regard. And so we expect our product to be very desirable, and that's why we were able to attract and work with these two companies for the long-term contracts. We updated the lease middle of last year, and as I said, we're asking for an extension to the end of next year. We're hoping to close before then. I'll give you an update on the status, and as I was talking with one of you, we talked about, how do you think the new presidential administration will affect your project, so I'll talk about that as well. So can we go to the next slide? So not only with you, but we have been obtaining extensions to all of our contracts, both with BP, Sempra, our two offtake contractors, and that's all going well. So those will all be extended until late next year. And on the permitting side is where we've made some really, really great progress since I was last here. I think I was here in July. Usually I come every 3 months, but last month you guys had, I think, a conference somewhere, so it wasn't a meeting where there were many commissioners at. But we received our air permit. What I didn't realize is that we're the only air permit that's been issued by the Louisiana DNR this entire year. We received that October 23rd, and as 30 days after it was sent out is when it'll be final and unappealable. The period to appeal to the EPA has already passed. If someone is challenging a permit, that's the route that is usually taken. It's less cumbersome. So we're hopeful, but waiting till December 7th to see how that all goes. On the water permit side, the draft water permit was issued on November 12th. There's a public hearing scheduled for December 19th. All comments are due by December 23rd, and then after that, they will issue the permit. So we're expecting it early next year. And I was just talking with Cameron, with Channing. We're expecting, you guys have been helping, the port has been helping us with 2 permits with the Corps. One is for a dredging permit, is a wetlands permit. And on the wetlands, there was a determination of how much we owed for mitigation. We've paid that, so it's just a matter of getting that permit. It's the same thing with the dredging, so we should have those shortly. So very shortly, early next year, we should have all our permits. So that would be a major accomplishment. On the financing side, we have our banks all positioned, ready to go. We've talked to you in the past about the DOE, and we're always thinking, should we go back to them? But now with this new administration who talks about canceling different agencies, and I think the Loan Guarantee Office is one of them, I'm not sure that spending a lot of time on that would be very smart. So we're focusing still on our bank financing. We'll probably start launching in February or March, which would lead then to a closing in maybe in July, hopefully in July. But if we miss July, you can't close in August because people are on vacation, so you close in September. So that's the timing that I see right now. We're working on getting a rating from Kroll. We had one issue with the independent engineer, which I think we solved this morning, so that's the next step in getting that rating done. On the tax credit side, we're expecting the regulations for 45V to be issued by the end of the year. We've gotten some good feedback that the change that we were looking for might actually be made. I think the new administration, it's helpful in this regard because the law, which was the IRA, was issued 3 years ago, and they're way past the time when regulations are supposed to have been out, which is 18 months. It's 3 years. When you don't issue regulations, you run the risk that the whole law could be thrown out, and since it was put in place by a Democratic Congress, and now there's a Republican Congress, there's a chance it could be turned over. So I think it's our view that, and the view of many, is that the regulations that are going to come out would be acceptable to both sides so that they can minimize the chance that they'll lose the whole IRA. So we're hopeful of that. We also, our backup plan is for 45Q credits. We went through a process with Deloitte. They are issuing a report that shows a significant amount of credits under that regime too. So those are all really helpful for our financing and for the economics of the project. The item that's been holding us up has been the construction contracts. Not so much the contracts themselves, but the price of the work. And I'm sure you've heard in many cases construction costs are up. However, and that was the case, we just still getting the final numbers, but in our mind, they're not final. They're just a means to an end, and we're working on a lot of areas. The port is helping us. One of the areas we see most fertile to make cost reductions to our current estimate is in the civil side. And the port allowed us to do a test pile and surcharge program on the site, and that allows us, I think it's being done this week, if I'm not mistaken, but it allows us to put some weight on the site and see what happens in a couple of months. And that will give a lot of information to the engineers who are calculating how much settlement there would be, and therefore how many pilings that you would need. So that is going to give us a lot of information early next year that will help us. And there are a lot of other efforts, including talking to one of our counterparties who's offered to look at our construction numbers and see if they could help. They just completed an $8 billion project in China on time, on budget. They have a lot of people there that could be reassigned to help us should they choose to do that. They have worldwide procurement capability. So We're in the process of having conversations with them about how they can help us figure out how to reduce the cost. So we're hoping this whole value engineering process takes, as I said, into January and February, at which time we'll have a pretty good idea where we're going to end up, and then we launch the bank process. I guess on the other side, just thinking about the new administration, we think on the negative side, we're not sure what tariffs might do, increased tariffs. But on the other hand, there are a lot of areas in the tax credits where there's judgment being employed as to whether you compare your emissions to domestic industry or to international industry. And we think that the Trump administration will be more pro-business, and they'll be more likely to foster, to help projects that have the ability to be a game changer, as this project would be. The next page, this just is a reminder of how much the port would receive at closing. We update this each time I come. And that is the current status. So I'd love to hear if you have any questions.
Cameron, that's accurate?
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Is there any questions by the commissioners?
No.
This time I'll entertain a motion.
Again, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that item will pass. Again, thank you, Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Gibby.
Moving on to submission 2024-051, approving a stevedores license for South Louisiana Rail Facility. Mr. Self.
Yes, Mr. President. The South Louisiana Rail Facility is currently loading barges at the industrial canal with bulk grain. They would like to begin using, they would like to apply for a stevedore permit themselves to load the vessel themselves rather than paying a stevedore to do that. They've supplied all the necessary information to do that, and we've provided that to you.
Okay, Self, thank you. Any questions by the commissioners? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. John.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Tom. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that item will pass. Moving on to briefing notes, October 2024 financials. Mr. Cameron.
Yes, sir. For the month of October, we saw an unfavorable amount of pet coke. A lot of that pet coke was moved in September. You saw how great September's financials were, so we actually ended up with an unfavorable variance of about $800,000. On the expense side, we had multiple unanticipated maintenance repairs, also yielding an unfavorable variance of about $400,000. And then non-operating revenues and expenses, also unfavorable about $600,000. That's primarily due to some expenses associated with the bond refunding. So with all that being said, cash flow ended up being negative about $500,000 for the month. Not our best month. On the balance sheet side, as you've heard all year, the fluctuations kind of mostly due to significant ongoing projects. So you see cash down, construction in progress up, $98.7 million. So projects ongoing. One other thing to mention, long-term debt decreased about $3.7 million. So in addition to our principal and interest payment on the bonds prior to refunding, they were partially paid off, small portion paid off when we refunded them, so additional increase on the debt. On the FEMA GOSEP, not much to mention. We received about $168,000 for the month. There is about $6 million working through the payment process, so should see that relatively soon. And today we actually received our approval for our project time extension from FEMA, which we've kind of been really waiting on because it was holding up about $10 million in funds to be submitted. So we're now able to go ahead and submit those funds for reimbursement.
Thank you, Cameron. Any questions by the commissioners?
Thank you.
Thank you for that report, Cameron.
Yes, sir.
We will now move on to Administration, Personnel, and Audit Committee. The administration met on November 21st, 2024 for an executive session for discussion and appropriate action regarding the executive director and the executive council performance evaluation. This is a committee recommendation. At this time, I would ask for a vote Of all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. That
Assuming
item,
that's in the form of a motion. It's in the form of a motion. Nobody made a motion, right?
okay.
Do we have
I'd
to
ask-
move the adoption of the?
That's
I
right.
was gonna ask for, yeah.
That's right. You need you need a motion, you don't need a second. So you do need a motion.
Yeah, I'll make the motion then to adopt.
Thank you,
the
Mr.
report.
Tom. Thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Tom to adopt. Any other discussion? That item will pass. Let me just say on behalf of the commissioners, for Mr. Ringo and Mr. Self, we, maybe sometimes we don't say it enough for the work that you two guys do and for all the people involved with all the boards and with all Todd, Channing, Terrence, Cameron, Nick. You guys have done an outstanding job. And we've had a record-setting year, and we just can't say enough for what, as a board and commissioners, as to how we feel about the job that you guys have done, everybody. And we just want to say here tonight, thank you for the jobs that you've done. And we know there's a lot more good that's coming, and we just want to say, as a board, anything we can do to help, we're here. We're here to do that. And the port is in good shape. And we hope that you all feel the same way about the jobs that we're doing as commissioners. And if there's anything that you guys need to come to us and maybe talk to us about, we're more than happy to discuss. Even Channing with his wells, we're gonna open everything up for discussion, okay? So with that, Mr. Ringo, Mr. Self, we do appreciate the job that you guys have done.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all so much.
At this time, we will move on to department reports. Administration and Finance, Cameron, I'm coming back at you again.
All right. So right now, my staff and I are mostly working on the 2025 budget, so you'll see that coming next month, as well as working on the implementation of our new accounting software. We anticipate going live on that next year, so we're excited about both of those things. Any questions?
All right, Cameron,
Thank
any
you.
questions by the commissioners?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Cameron. Moving on to navigation. Channing, my favorite.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your comments earlier. Aquaman has no whale report today. But I do want to tell you about the Wheeler. She's still here. She's undergoing some repairs, crew changes. She's got a few more days to dredge the outside channel, and she's going to head back to New Orleans. We also have some shoaling in the Clooney Island Channel. That is the channel that leads up from the main channel to the P66 West Lake facility. The pilots talked to me about it today. There's going to be a conversation with the Corps. I've got to call the Corps tomorrow about the issue, so we'll see how that moves forward. Other than that, you have my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Channing. Any discussions by the commissioners? All right. Moving on to operations, Mr. Todd.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I apologize for my voice. At City Docks recently, we've had 2 barges of aluminum hydrate, 3,500 tons. We've done 2 cargo transfers, about 16,000 tons, and 2 lumber shipments that's total 22,000 cubic meters, and 1 vessel of liquid sodium hydrosulfide. On the schedule, we've got another lumber shipment of 13,900 cubic meters, another aluminum hydrate vessel of 30,000, and a bagged rice shipment. It's about 13,000 tons. Ship should be here December 2nd. At BT1, like Cameron said, we had a great month in September. October slowed down, but November it picked back up. We did 4 ships of raw coke, totaling about 220,000. A Bayrite shipment of 58,000. 2 rutile shipments of 20,000, and 2 ships of calcine, about 7,000. Don't have a lot on the schedule for December because we are taking the new ship loader down for about a month to do follow-up on repairs from another installation. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Todd. Any questions by the commissioners? Thank you for that report, Mr. Todd. Moving on to cargo trade and development. Terrence.
Yes, Mr. President. Currently working on 2 projects. One will be some dry cement that will start coming in next year. We're looking at about 19 ships, about 750,000 tons or so. In addition to that, some additional pilings that may come in with that, about 30,000 pilings. And so that would actually over double our forecast for city docks tonnage next year. And we also have a pipe project that we're working on. It's about 18,000 tons that we'll probably start shipping the first part of the year. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions by the commissioners? Thank you, Terrence, for that report. We'll move on to state lobbies. Is there anything you have, Mr. Clayton?
Hey, you skip Nick.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nick, man.
That's all right. I was just gonna let you
Thank
go.
you. That's why I got good people around me. I'm trying to see
He never has anything.
engineering and maintenance. Nick, I'm so sorry. Nick, we're gonna give you an extra 30 minutes.
I
Go.
appreciate that. I've got a nice presentation about whales I'd like to talk to you all about.
I apologize.
No, I didn't come asking for any money today, so I didn't get your attention, I guess. So, no, we're wrapping up quite a few projects over the next month. As you saw on the drive-in today, Sallier Rail is finally making some significant progress. The rail connections are both tied in on either side, and by the next meeting, all the pavement should be complete. So we'll be driving on all concrete and asphalt moving forward until the city begins their project. Warehouse 300 is nearing completion. That's going to be our largest FEMA-funded project to date until our next one's complete. But we're very excited about that one. That's going to be 179,000 square feet of new warehouse that we're going to be putting into commerce. Todd's ready to get it leased out. And then the other big news is our second ship loader number 3, is on schedule to be loaded on the ship second week of December. So with an expected arrival of mid-January. And after commissioning period, we'll have it back into operation, and it'll be the first time since Hurricane Laura that we have 2 working ship loaders. So we're very excited and ready to make some progress. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Nick, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any questions by the commissioners? Thank you again, Nick. We'll move on to state lobbies. Is there anything we have?
No,
Mr. Clayton?
no, sir.
Okay. And federal, anything?
No.
Okay. Well, if there's any other matters that need to come before the board at this time, if not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion by Mr. Jonathan,
Second.
and I have a second by
I
Mr.
had a motion for executive session, not to adjourn.
Okay.
Into executive session?
If that's the pleasure of the board, I don't have anything new to report.
No, we don't.
Okay. Then-
We don't.
Yeah, then I
Yes.
make a motion
Thank
to
you, Mr.
adjourn.
Jonathan. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, I had checked earlier,
Second.
so, thank you. I have a second. Any other discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, we are now adjourned.